wanted to do a bit of a solo RPG session because I haven't done one in a while. I've been watching this channel by a gentleman by the name of Todd Lyons. He covers a lot of BFRPG material and I've always liked the philosophy behind BFRPG. BFRPG, in case you're not aware, is Basic Fantasy RPG, which to my knowledge is basically BX Basic Expert, D&D, but it's done in a way that is open source. So it's very much a community-driven project. All of the art inside the book is done by contributors, and it's largely done by volunteers, such as Todd. I really highly recommend his YouTube channel, you should check it out. I'll put a link in the description. So interestingly enough, BFRPG has a solo scene to it as well, especially in the forums. And there are some excellent solo adventures made for it. One of them is The Whispering Church. This is actually one of the ones that I have not read through too much. I've read some of the other solo adventures, but not this one. So before we began, I actually made some characters. And firstly we have Gromuki, the Dwarven Cleric. Horrible charisma, not a very likable fellow, I guess. Got a bunch of adventuring equipment, has a mace, because clerics can't use bladed weapons. Just in all, not a very nice fellow to be around, but he gets the job done. There's also Binver, who is a human fighter. He wields a great axe, he has chainmail. Doesn't have a lot of other items, didn't start out with a lot of gold on him. So I got a great axe, I got a chainmail, and that's basically it. Other than some chalk and a whistle. And the party is being led by Fip, who is a human magic user. All of these are starting at level 1. So Fip, for a magic user, is surprisingly agile and can probably dodge out of the way of some stuff. Even though Fip has pretty much no armor, they still have an AC of 12, so that's good. They got a dagger, they got a small sack, parchment, quill and ink, stuff like that. But the spells that they have are Read Magic, and I could choose one other one, and I chose Sleep. Hopefully it will come in use. We'll see. Oh, I just realized I also wrote Fip here and here. Whoops. This space is actually empty because I'm planning to possibly hire one more person as we go through the adventures. I'm not sure if this is going to be a one-off, so we'll see. But this is empty for now. So it says here that The Whispering Church is a solo GM-less OSR mini-adventure for 2 to 4 characters of level 1. So we're having 3 characters, I think that's a good fit. Okay, without further ado, let's begin. So let's start by reading the introduction text. The abandoned old church has stood on the outskirts of Notburn town for more than a century. Nobody alive is old enough to remember exactly why the oak doors were nailed shut using thick spikes of cold iron. Townsfolk report hearing ominous whispers and strange chanting near the church at night. Some even claim to have seen a flickering light behind the dirty stained glass windows. Recently, a group of youngsters in town has gone missing. Agatha, the burgomaster's daughter, among them. I'm gonna have to find out what a burgomaster is. He is desperate to find anyone willing to investigate the strange nightly goings-on in the church in the hope of finding any signs of the missing youngsters. So, why are the characters investigating the strange reports concerning the old church? Roll below to find out. We'll just roll d6 there. And we got a 3, which is the local sage wants to record the church's history. I'm gonna say that in this case, the local sage is just gonna be Fip, who is not that old, not old enough to be a sage anyway, level 1 magic user, but he's just naturally curious, and he and his friends, Gromuki and Binver, are going to head into this church to note down its history, even though they know of the dangers that might await them, like the youngsters going missing, and the fact that there's a flickering light behind the dirty stained glass windows and there's chanting at night and stuff like that. They are even more interested in it as a result of that. But before we actually head into the church, let's actually get some information about the town itself. So I noticed that the town of Notburn is actually detailed out here. Notburn is situated on a muddy road, fallen out of favor with most merchants. The burgomaster, I still don't know what that is, welcomes passing adventurers because of the coin they spend in town. A small general store offers basic supplies, but unusual items can be ordered from a thick catalog. I'm gonna Google what a burgomaster is, give me a second. Okay, let's see. Okay, yeah, okay, it means mayor. Okay, going back to the text. Notburn's young cleric tends to the few spiritual needs of the townsfolk from his small cottage in town. However, most people in town seem to hold clerics in low regard. That kind of tracks with our very low charisma cleric. That's probably the cleric they're talking about. Don't know if he's young though. The way I drew him, kinda. Maybe he's young, but he looks old. Sure. The local sage is writing down stories about Notburn's long history after the town records were destroyed in a fire that broke out under mysterious circumstances. Okay. While the burgomaster's daughter Hagatha is highly regarded as a kind young woman, the same can't be said for the other missing youngsters. Most of them have spent a few hours in town jail for throwing eggs at the town's young cleric. Oh my. And were even suspected of having something to do with the fire that destroyed the town records. Alright. Here's some random encounters while we're in the church. This Game Master emulator. We'll see how this works as we're going through it. I can see here that there are keywords, and let's see, when visiting a location, first read the description, then select a keyword and roll on the what happens table, interpret the combined result, keeping within context, asking basic or complicated GM questions if needed. So this is the what happens table, and I guess we'll see how that works out. There's an example here as well. I'll just read through this myself, just to get a general idea. Okay, yeah, that's actually pretty good. I won't go through the example play in all that much detail, you can pause it and look if you want. But a lot of these GM emulators don't have enough, examples of them actually being used, so this is quite nice. So we've identified that the sage in question is going to be Fip and the cleric is going to be Gromuki. Binver is just tagging along. So we have all this information, and now we want to record the church's history and potentially maybe save the youngsters. Definitely try to find the burgomaster's daughter, even though the youngsters have, literally thrown eggs at Gromuki before. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. So the church is on the outskirts of the town. I'm assuming like maybe half a day's journey there. Eventually we are able to reach the front of the church. So we're starting off right here. A loose panel set in the church door leads to a shadowy entrance hall. The inside of the door is hung with scraps of parchment covered in faded writing. Moth-eaten curtains cover a set of steps leading down to the north. Two decrepit cabinets hold dusty religious paraphernalia, as well as many freshly burned candlesticks. A small iron gate has been forced out of the hinges. I'm assuming that the iron gate is this. So I'm not going to read any of this yet. I'm going to choose, as they said, one of the keywords and roll on that. Which one is the most interesting to me? I think as we're going through, the religious paraphernalia is going to be quite interesting to me. So we're going to roll on the what happens table here. So we're just going to roll and see what happens. 6. Gain advantage. Alright. So there's religious paraphernalia and we somehow gain advantage from being able to analyze it in some way. I'm gonna say that that takes some time, but we'll be able to get something maybe useful out of this, maybe information. So if it's gonna take time, we're gonna try to roll for a random encounter, as this is happening. And I got a 4, so no random encounter. Fip is the one who basically goes and opens the cabinet, taking out the religious paraphernalia. I'm assuming some old books and stuff. Maybe some holy items that are now dusty and dirty. We gain an advantage in some way. So before I read through the rest of this, I want to know what kind of advantage do we get. So I'm going to use the action descriptors, I think. So it's going to be a d6, 5, so here, and 6. Deceive. I'm going to roll again on the theme descriptors. 1 and 6. Deceive the enemy. Alright, keeping that in mind, let's read the rest of the text here. The old parchments all bear the town seal of Notburn. The writing identifies a cold-hearted cleric named Eteldred as being guilty of forsaking his duty in aiding the poor and the sick because he found the faith of the Notburners to be lacking. The townsfolk sentenced him to death. Okay, so that's the parchment covered in this faded writing, and as Pip is looking through the religious paraphernalia, Gromuki is basically reading this faded writing, and a strange mold festers within the thick curtains. When something passes through, there is a 2 in 6 chance the mold will release its spores. So we gain an advantage, and it's deceive enemy. I think what happens is that, while looking through the religious paraphernalia, Pip is able to find some of that strange mold, and he's able to recognize this. A bit releases, but not enough to do anything. And looking around, he looks at the curtains and notices that. So the curtains are covering the stairs leading downwards. So in this case, deceive enemy is something where I'm interpreting as it will have deceived us otherwise, and we might have caused it to create this mold that's releasing its spores and attacking us. But we actually know about it in advance. So we can go through and be careful and not disturb the mold in the curtains going towards the north. We can do that, or we can check out the great door that's been forced out of its hinges to the west. I think we're noting down that there is something in the curtains and that we have to be careful about that, but we're moving to the west first to check out what's in this other room. We should keep track of the time though, so I think, yeah, we're gonna just draw a little bit of a time tracker into the pamphlet itself. Is every 3 turns that something basically can be disturbed and an encounter might be set off. So we're gonna start tracking the turns from now on. Just now I decided that since we're taking time, it lasted enough to be 3 turns since we're looking through all the paraphernalia, but now we're gonna track it properly. So we're gonna move as quietly as we can towards the western side. And let's see, we're moving towards the feretory tower. This small, high-ceilinged tower houses a portable brass shrine encrusted with bat guano. Several dead rats have been stuffed into the reliquary in some sort of crude sacrifice. The battered body of a young man lies in a corner. The entire room is covered in juvenile chalk drawings depicting demonic creatures in lewd positions. Okay, that's interesting. I'm interested in what the sacrifice is about, actually. Definitely the young man as well, but I'm going to actually roll on this. So, let's see. Sacrifice. What happened? 5. Foreshadow an event or a clue. Okay, I'm gonna roll the theme descriptors for that. So that's gonna be a 6 and a 5, which is gonna be suffering. I'm gonna roll one more time, I think on the theme descriptors again. 1 and 1. Suffering and ideas. The idea of suffering. Okay, interesting. So the sacrifices seem to have been made in such a way that the rats were tortured as they were sacrificed, which is pretty grisly, but let's read the rest of this. The body is beaten to a pulp and barely recognizable as one of the missing youngsters. He wears a crudely sewn black robe and holds a bloody kitchen knife. The name Hagata is drawn in blood underneath several of the creepy chalk drawings. During the day, the ceiling of this room is full of sleeping bats. If disturbed, there is a 4 in 6 chance that they will make a lot of noise, warranting an extra random encounter roll. Okay, let's see if that happens. 3. Okay, that's gonna be an extra random encounter roll as they make a lot of noise, flapping their wings as we disturb them by accident. We do not, however, get a random encounter. They fly about the place. Is the body alive? Because they said there's a battered body of a young man lying in a corner. But is it alive? So here we can make use of the yes/no oracle. It's a 2. No, the body is not alive. The young man is definitely dead, beaten to a pulp, and barely recognizable. So he was tortured as well alongside the rats. So I'm sensing some kind of theme here. This is turning out a bit darker than I anticipated for this adventure actually. But yeah, we cross off another of those turns as we make our way back out. But yeah, I think we're gonna take a little bit of time to analyze the bloody kitchen knife and the crudely sewn black robe. Do we find anything extra? I'm gonna just knock off some time there, and I'm gonna roll on that. So I'm just gonna roll to see if we find anything. We got a 5, which is yes. What do we find from that? I'm gonna go with theme descriptors for this. So that's gonna be a 1 and 6. Enemy. I'm gonna roll on action descriptors as well. 3 and a 4. Disrupt. So he was fighting some kind of enemy, and the only enemy we know about right now is the cold-hearted cleric, Eteldred. He was sacrificed by the townsfolk. And I think as we are looking through the robe and through the kitchen knife, we note that in his other hand, the youngster is actually holding very tightly onto something that we can tell used to belong to the cleric. Something that we can tell from the old parchments. So it seems interesting that he was literally fighting this cleric, which we assumed was long dead. And also we have the name Hagata, drawn in blood. We're coming back out, having found a clue, and we're going to go through this area very slowly so as not to disturb the church mold. So we're going to take some time to do that, and I'm going to roll for a random encounter now. Oh, I got one. So, is this random encounter going to be the church mold? Yes or no? Because normally I would roll on a random encounter here, but this is a pretty special situation. 6. Yes, and. So I'm gonna say that we'll roll on the what happens here. 1. Face a problem or difficulty. Oh, that seems bad. The first thing that comes to mind is that there are 2 encounters. One of them being the church mold and the other one being something else. So we're gonna roll for that. And we got a 6, which is a stained glass shadow. Okay. There's one of them. So there's one stained glass shadow. I think what happens is, as we're going through the curtain, a shadow from the side of one of the stained glass windows suddenly leaps towards us. And shadows aren't supposed to move of their own accord, so that startles us, and we jostle the curtains, and that causes the mold to fall down as well. So that's really bad. I'm gonna roll a reaction roll for the stained glass shadow, but I'm not gonna roll it for the church mold. We disturbed it, and it's going to attack us. But the stained glass shadow though. Let's see, I got another d6 out, so we get 2d6. Let's roll a reaction roll. We got a 7. It's going to be uninterested in us, and the shadow leaps towards us and then passes on by as the church mold in the curtains drops down onto somebody. I'm not sure who. We didn't really establish a marching order, but it makes sense that Gromuki and Binver will be in front. So I'm gonna say 1 to 3 is Gromuki, 4 to 6 is Binver. So it's Binver is going to get the first attack in. So this mold is going to release its spores. And the spores I don't think are an actual attack. It's just a save versus death ray, or take 1d8 points of damage per round for 3 rounds. Holy smokes. Okay. So save versus death ray, I guess. I got a 2. The spores cloud over Binver, who is probably at this point going to die. I'm gonna roll a d8, and Binver now has 2 HP remaining and is in a bad coughing fit. Does Binver know that this thing can be harmed only by fire or holy water? I'm gonna say that that's not likely, so I'm gonna roll 2d6 and take the lower. So that's a 3. It's a no but. So for no but, I'm just gonna say that that's a no. He doesn't actually know about this thing not being able to be harmed by regular weaponry, and is gonna swing at it. He's gonna swing at it to no effect because the AC is nil and is only harmed by fire or holy water. But at least now we know. This is pretty bad. Gromuki is going to take out his holy water and toss it at the church mold. So the church mold has 2 HD and BFRPG uses D8, so it has 8 and 2, which means it has 10 HP. Oh wait, never mind, it's written here already, it has 10 HP. Oh, that's exactly what I rolled, interesting. So what I'm gonna do is the holy water is gonna do 2d6 damage. If there's a 1 to 2 on either of these dice, that means that it's extinguished, essentially. It's not fire, but it's basically gonna have no effect anymore. So we're gonna roll it and we're gonna see. So I got a 6 and a 6. So that means that that holy water is going to be able to take out this mold immediately. That is good. So I'm gonna remove the holy water from the inventory here. Is it enough to dispel the spores so that Binver will stop coughing? I'm just gonna roll a regular d6 for that. I got a 3. No but. So I'm gonna say that no but means that Binver will keep coughing, but only for 1 more round, which doesn't really help because he only has 2 HP. If he rolls anything but a 1, he's dead. He got a 1. Okay, Binver is still alive. Binver is still alive. That was, okay. Binver is still alive at 1 HP. That kinda sucks. This is getting pretty dangerous. Honestly, we should probably return back to town and heal up, but given what we found, and how close we are to possibly finding the other youngsters, I think is worth the risk to keep going. So we're going to go into the third area here. Dirty stained glass windows cast eerie shadows among the pews. Statues depicting the gods of law and morality look sternly from the transepts. The chancel to the north and the locked grated door to the east are covered by thick curtains. As you enter, shambling corpses rise menacingly from the pews, clutching very old prayer books. You recognize some of the missing youngsters. Oh, great. I'm gonna pick shambling corpses for this one as the keyword that we're going to elaborate on. And I'm gonna roll. What happens? Gain advantage. What kind of advantage? Action descriptors? 5 and 2, which is control. Oh, interesting. Control. I'm gonna read the rest of this first. Each zombie is dressed in crudely sewn black robes and has the word repent cut into its forehead. The daughter of the burgomaster isn't among this group. 4 of them. I think we recognize that they are holding these prayer books. And due to the information that we know about, which is that sacrifice is a huge part of this situation, I think what's going to happen is that Fib is going to step forward and cut into his hand just a tiny bit, enough to let out a bit of blood. On a 1 to 2 on a d6, that's gonna cost me 1 HP. Okay, that's a 3, that's close. But that's just enough blood to show that he's sacrificing something while also not deducting his HP, thankfully. Will this work? So it said that I gain an advantage, and it said that I can control them in some way. How well does this work, I guess? I'm gonna roll a 2d6 and take the higher. So the question is, does this work? I'm gonna get a 4, yes, but. So yes, but is only enough to basically halt them in their tracks for just a little bit. So they're gonna stop in their tracks long enough for us to be able to attack them all at once. And thankfully, we have a cleric. The cleric who doesn't really like these youngsters in the first place anyway. So how does turn undead work? Alright, time to bring out the rulebook. Let's see. Turn undead, turn undead, turn undead. Alright, turn undead. Clerics can turn the undead, that is, drive away undead monsters by means of faith alone. The cleric brandishes his or her holy symbol and calls upon the power of his or her divine patron. The player rolls d20, tells the GM the result. So let's see. We have currently 4 zombies, I believe. Yeah, four zombie youngsters. Okay. If the roll is a success, 2d6 hit dice of undead monsters are affected. Alright, so I need to roll a 17 or higher. Okay, we'll try it, I guess. Oh my god, I got an 18. Okay, so that's gonna be 2d6. That's gonna be... What's with the dice rolls today? Holy crap. That's all of them who are turned away by Gromuki the cleric. Undead monsters which are turned flee from the cleric and his or her party at maximum movement. If left alone, the monsters will not return or attempt to attack the cleric, or those near him or her for at least 2d4 turns. I think I'm gonna simplify that and just say that they are just going to flee. Which direction though? Like 1 to 3, 4 to 6. Let's see. So all of them flee towards this curtained area over here to the north and flee within it. I think we check the eastern side, find that it's locked as it said here, and see that it's covered by thick curtains, and we move towards the north where the zombies are still cowering in fear. And we're gonna take up 1 turn there. Behind the altar on the chancel stands an animated skeleton dressed in old cleric robes and wearing the tattered remains of a hangman's noose. The undead thing screams in outrage. More devil worshippers? The gods must have sent me back to punish this town for all their sins. The cleric slams its bony fist down on the altar, chipping the stone. Come to free your cult leader, no doubt. In the end, all shall repent. Okay, I'm assuming that's Aetheldrad. Oh yeah, it says right here. Aetheldrad is an undead cleric. Carries a key to the locked grated door to the east. The zombies are cowering behind him, or they have come to him for some kind of assistance. I want to know more information though. I think chipping might be a good keyword for this one. That one might be interesting. Let's roll d6. Wonder what happens. 3. Resolve a circumstance. So the chipping of the altar resolves a circumstance. I'm not quite sure what it is. So we're just gonna roll on the action descriptors. Let's see, 4 and 2. Control. Oh, that seems bad. Roll again. 6 and 6. Control and deceive. Oh, I think the circumstance that is resolved is the zombies cowering away from us. Is that the case? I'm gonna say that's likely, so pick the higher. I got a 1 and a 5, which is a yes. So, Aethel Dread, the undead cleric, screams into the air and chips the altar. And as soon as he chips the altar, all the zombies snap out of it. They all come rushing forward as Aethel Dread basically starts to cast a spell of some kind. Oh, that's really bad. Oh my god. We brought sleep with us. Sleep will not work on undead creatures. Oh boy. Okay. So I've been testing out this system for doing initiative recently, where you just roll under your dex, which is bad for me because my dex is terrible, except for Fip, who has 15. And if you succeed, you go before, and if you fail, you go after. So we'll roll for Grommuki. We got a 1, so Grommuki is going before. Binver is going before, he got 7 under 8. And Fip is gonna go before as well. Okay, so all of them are able to take their action before the zombies do anything. Grommuki is gonna try his luck again at turning the undead. I don't know if this is gonna work this time. It does not, unfortunately. Binver is gonna use his great axe and swing at one of them. So that's a 15, that's gonna be a hit. D10, 7. So the first one had 6 HP. So one of the zombies definitely immediately just goes down. Fip, what can Fip do? Fip has a dagger and isn't very good at combat. I think Fip is gonna throw a torch. He's gonna light and throw a torch from the back. Let's see, are there any rules on torches and using fire? Oh, a flask of oil can be used as grenade-like missile. Okay, yeah, I think, doesn't say for a torch specifically, or I'm just missing it. But if it's ignited, it can deal fire damage from the splash. So I'm just gonna keep it simple and say that Fib is trying to throw the flask. And it's just gonna be an attack roll, I think. Fib is dexterous though, so it gets a +2 to their roll. And they're just trying to hit AC of 12, so Fib needs a 10 or higher. Got a 15, is able to set how many of them on fire? I'm gonna say just one because it's a torch, a single torch. And that's gonna be d6. And he rolled a 6! Oh my god, the rolls today are pretty good. That's gonna be another zombie down. 2 zombies down. So that's the party's turn. The other 2 zombies are gonna keep trying to attack us as Aethel Dread casts a spell. So I'm gonna see what spell Aethel Dread casts. It's gonna be 5, Spiritual Hammer. Okay. Firstly, the zombie youngsters are going to charge us though. Grommuki and Binvar are at the front, and let's see what happens. 15 plus a 2 for their HD. Oh, Grommuki is gonna get hit for D8 damage. Oh my god, Grommuki is dead. Holy crap. One of the zombies bites into Grommuki, tearing his throat out, as the other one sets upon Binver, and they get a natural 1, so that's not a hit. But Grommuki is now dead. What is Spiritual Hammer? Here you go, Spiritual Hammer. The spell causes a warhammer made of pure force to spring into existence, attacking any foe chosen by the cleric within range once per round. It deals 1d6 hit points of damage per strike, plus 1 point for 3 caster levels, which means d6 plus 1 because he's level 5. It uses the caster's normal attack bonus, striking as a magical weapon, and thus can inflict damage upon creatures that are only hit by magic weapons. If the hammer goes beyond the spell range, the cleric loses sight of it, or the caster ceases to direct it, and the hammer disappears. The hammer cannot be attacked or harmed by physical attacks. But Dispel Magic, Disintegrate, or Rod of Cancellation will dispel it. Oh, okay. Who is he gonna attack? I think everybody is within range. It's either Binver or Fib. So 1 to 3 is Binver, 4 to 6 is Fib. It's Fib. Oh boy! That could be bad. Oh yeah, it's a miss. This magical hammer comes out of existence, slams down, Fib is able to avoid it. There's 2 more zombies. I think what's gonna happen here is that... Yeah, I think Fib is gonna take his turn and pick up one of the oil flasks and just hurl it towards the cleric, Aetheldrad. Binver, on the other hand, is just gonna cleave one of the zombies. So we'll do Binver first. So Binver is gonna try to attack. He has a 14, that's a hit. D10. That's 8 damage, which means that that's another zombie down. And Fib is going to take the oil flask from Gromuki's corpse and fling it down at Aetheldraed's feet. So that's just gonna be... Let's see here. Let's look at this properly. So a flask of oil can be used as a grenade-like missile. A direct hit to the creature deals d8 points of fire damage, plus in the next round the target takes an additional d8 points of damage unless he or she spends the round extinguish the flames by some reasonable means. It needs to be a direct hit, or else they just get d8 points of damage in the next round when it's ignited. So what I'm gonna say is that if they miss, that's okay. But if they miss by more than 5, that'll be bad, and they won't be able to hit anything. Okay, so Aetheldraed has an AC of 13. If it misses by more than 5, Fib is not going to be able to get the oil to spill near Aetheldraed. So we'll see. I got a natural 20. I think that's double damage. Alright. That's gonna be 2d8. That's an 8. And a 5. Fib is able to throw the flask of oil and is able to ignite Aetheldraed immediately, causing him to go up in a plume of smoke and fire. We lost Gromuki, but that turned out pretty good, I'd say. There's one more of the zombie youngsters who is gonna be able to take an attack at Binver. So we'll roll for that. And they're gonna miss. And let's see, Binver goes after, Fib goes before. Fib is maybe foolishly gonna try to step in and stab at the zombie youngster. He is going to get a hit, and that's gonna be d4 damage. And I got a 1, so it nicks the zombie youngster. The zombie youngster is gonna go for Binver. Actually, let's make it a roll. The zombie youngster is gonna go for 1 to 3 is Fib, 4 to 6 is Binver. So, goes for Binver, and that is going to be a hit, unfortunately. Oh my god, Binver is going down. Oh, this sucks. We killed the hit undead cleric, but there's this one last zombie, and he just starts ripping chunks out of Binver. Fib, while this is happening, attempts to stab at the zombie who is on top of Binver, eating away at him. And I think that this is easy enough. I'm actually gonna say that there's gonna be a +2 maybe. So a +2 and a +1, so +3. And they got a natural 1. Fib, in a fit of outrage, swings and is unable to hit the zombie. And not only that, he flings himself to the ground. He's caught off balance. We're gonna have to roll another initiative, but only Fib is alive at this point. Fib rolled over his dexterity. His dexterity was 15, I rolled a 16. The zombie is gonna come for Fib next. And the zombie got a 13. Oh, our luck is changing a little bit. D8 damage. Oh my god. Okay. That's 6 damage. Fib gets eaten by the last zombie youngster. So we came in to this church hoping to find out more about its secrets and also to rescue the youngsters. And we did end up killing the undead cleric, but everybody got killed in the process. That's an interesting end to things. Just out of curiosity, what was in that last room? I'm assuming it was the daughter of the burgomaster. Yeah, it was. Stuffed into a sarcophagus, it seems. Well, that sucks. But who knows? Because we killed the undead cleric, maybe somebody else, the next searching party, we'll be able to just come in and find the daughter of the Burgomaster. Who knows? I've never had an adventure end in that way, where we killed the main villain, but everybody died as a result. So that's really something, yeah. I hope you enjoyed that. I might do more of these in future. That was really fun, actually. If you liked the video, like and subscribe. I haven't been really putting out videos all that often recently, but hoping that I can find some time to do so in the near future. Thanks for watching. Bye!